Yesterday, early in the morning, yesterday at your early program, you had people saying that, oh, we're happy. They've told us we can now watch the proceedings and so on and so forth. I want somebody who can tell me categorically he was able to watch the proceedings from the beginning to the end. I think this thing lasted till about, when I went out, came back till about 8:30.
Over 2 hours. 12 hours.
12 hours. And I wonder why we couldn't have just been given an abridged version of the judgment. And then if you're so concerned, you go to the website of the Supreme Court and then read the full judgment. Well, at the end of the day, for me, there were no surprises. And I had said that as much. Because the truth is this: the law is couched in so many padlocks and unlocking padlocks and all kinds of things. Nothing is straightforward. For example, wouldn't it have been good if you just said in one sentence that anybody who, I'm joking, that's not the way it works, but anybody who to contest for the presidency, you should have exactly this. For example, the issue of Abuja. Couldn't the drafters of the law have been more specific? Do you understand what I'm saying? That, I know that generally people always talk about, when they talk about the 36 states of the country, they always like to add and the FCT and the FCT just to differentiate the fact that the FCT is not a state. But whether that and now meant that you had to win 25% specifically in Abuja is subject to all kinds of interpretations. That's what it is. So a judge is at liberty to choose whichever interpretation suits him or her. And that's the way law goes. I don't want to go into the specifics of the case because in any case, I'm not a lawyer. Okay? Well, but what I would say essentially is a welcome to the new world. The new world that produced the likes of Trump has come to Nigeria. And just like the winner said, he said you grab it. What was his first something? You grab it and run away with it. That is the new world. That is the new world order, unfortunately. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. I thought that Nigeria would have a better moral understanding of these issues. But if what it means is that you can circumvent and do all kinds of things and run away with it, so be it. We will have to live with that, either for the next 4 years or forever, because if this is what we are getting now, in another 4 years, it will just be. And like you said this morning, let me cheat a bit on what we spoke about. It's going to be very difficult for you to call out people for elections in Nigeria.
It's going to be difficult.
Very, very difficult. I'm not going to, in fact, I'll just take a vacation.
It's going to be difficult.
Very, very difficult. Okay, so the judgment highlights is that Obi Labour Party failed to prove rigging and overvoting by law. We saw what we saw, but the court says they failed to prove rigging and overvoting. That's what the law says, okay? But
sorry to butt in there, because when I read that, I was like, so what? All of those boxes of whatever it is that were brought into court, what were those things? I mean, like
according to
the law.
Yeah. And portions of Obi's petition vague, imprecise, nebulous, and bereft of particular materials. Okay, so they say Obi was validly nominated by LP. It is a token to have a little ice cream to lick whilst we're doing this. Shetima validly nominated as APC vice presidential candidate. This one I don't understand. No evidence Tinubu was convicted in the US for drug trafficking. Okay, so why don't we have a law that says that if you get involved in any way, because there was a seizure. Do you understand what I'm saying? There was a seizure, so why don't we have a law that is more generic? But it says that he was not convicted. That's what the word convicted for drug trafficking. And they said that actually Tinubu not indicted, arraigned, tried, or convicted in the United States. But surely his money wouldn't have been taken if he wasn't involved. Somewhat. But that's today. So, and they said that the first $60,000 was a civil matter, not criminal conviction. INEC can't be forced to transmit election results electronically. You want to say something?
No, nothing. Absolutely nothing.
And on 25% votes, Abuja not special than other states. And back to the drug issue, because I thought that was where the case could have a twist. Well, this is what they said. They said the PEPC also dismissed the allegation that President Tinubu was convicted in the U.S. on a drug trafficking related charge. The court, in its lead judgment in the joint petition filed by the Labour Party OB, held that evidence before it established that the first 60,000 naira fine that was imposed on Tinubu in the U.S. was in a civil matter. He held that such a fine did not translate to a criminal conviction that was capable of warranting Tinubu's disqualification from contesting the presidential election that was held on February 25. And in any case, this was a clincher. In any case, besides, the court held that a period of 10 years had elapsed since the said fine was imposed against Tinubu. I think there's a 10-year lapse. You have a 10-year grace. So that in a sense
that one
valid.
is rested. Yes, that case is rested.
So the 10-year one is rested. Also, it says here that in the Vanguard that on the issue of INEC failing to transmit the results electrically real time on its results viewing portal, the tribunal said that the INEC was not mandated to send election results, but that's the rules that they set for themselves.
They set the guidelines.
They set the guidelines.
No one imposed the guidelines on INEC. INEC set the guidelines.
You know, and so on and so forth. Well,
unless if this can be interpreted to mean that whatever INEC said as guidelines may not be followed on election day, even if INEC hasn't changed the guidelines.
Well,
so you can't essentially hold anybody accountable if a polling officer, for instance, in your ward decides to say this beaver, so we are not going to use it. We are going to use this one before INEC cannot penalize that person.
No, you can even say it after the election.
You know,
that I changed my mind.
I change it. I change it. What is it? Court said it's not compulsory that this thing.
I think you make light out of it. What we have is a turning point for Nigeria, because what it means is that with very good manipulation tactics, no matter what it is, you can actually desire to lead this country. Nigeria would I don't know whether we are going to have any gains or pains. One of the pains that I have now is from a moral side, and people tend to throw that away. And for me, it's the most crucial. What example am I going to give? My children are grown. What example am I going to give my grandchildren now? Because we now have a culture where the things that matter no longer matter. And that is the sad part for me, which should have been nipped in the bud, if you ask me, at party level. And I don't know who's going to do that. I've always told you about politicians. Because we have a moral issue worldwide, and a lot of people brush it away, in their support. You have a leader who has questions to answer. And it is at the end of the day, it's a reflection of us as a people. You don't know the primary school, you don't know the secondary, you don't know there's this raging controversy about university. Everything is controversial. And yet emerges out of 220 million people as a leader. That, for me, is the bigger question. All these legalese. We all know, if you've ever been to court, you know that these things can go either way, depending on... Like my late friend Elias would say, not Taslim Elias, sorry, my late friend, because I've forgotten his first name, Taufik, Elias would say, you don't know the mind of the judge. But the PDP have said they are going to appeal. I think the Labour too indicated something like that. It is within their rights to do so. But I'm done. Okay, I'm done. I'm not going to put my eyes on this. Rather, let's see how we can manage what I would call this sad situation that we have on our hands. It's good that we have a president. I'm happy for Bola Tinubu and his camp. I'm happy for them. I'm hoping that they would surprise us all. Because, you see, it's not just about money. The moral issue is more important in any group. And that's what I'm harping on. The moral issue and the capability. If you have a faulty moral issue, how do you determine the capability? And there's so many things that you can't even say on radio that is worrying. But I hope that one day, 3 years from now, people can point at me and say, Jimi Disu, you were wrong. You see where we are. If that happens, I'll be so happy. But for now, I think I'm done. If they want to go to Supreme Court,
yes, they have said
rights.
yes, they have said they're headed there. So yeah,
it's within their rights. Well, I'm done with this.
In fact, they were so much in a hurry yesterday that they wanted the judge to allow them have the copy of the judgment. That yesterday night, judge had to calm down. Since morning, 12 hours. You know the time.
But I still wish that I don't know whether to appeal to the appeal court or whatever. That couldn't the judges have just read an abridged version, and you go to the website and spend your whole day reading this? We're denied a lot of other programs.
One of the SANs stood up yesterday to interrupt one of the.
I think I saw it. That was towards the end,
and he was actually saying that, look, if the other judges are going to agree with you, my lord, can they just say I agree? So she said, I agree. So she said, I agree.
They told him to sit down. Yeah, I saw that part. I saw that part. It was such a boring night. It was such a boring, and it was on all the whatever. But Nigeria will always have to, just like every other person, you have to take responsibility for the choices you have made. And that leads us to...
They have their right to go to the Supreme Court. If they're headed there, good luck to them. Meantime, we've got a country to run.